Imagine a world where winter meant death for the unprepared. No thermostats, no radiators, no electric heaters humming quietly in the background. Just fire, stone, smoke, and human ingenuity. For thousands of years, warmth was never guaranteed. It had to be fought for, engineered, and earned. The story of how ancient people heated their homes is not just a technical history. It is the story of survival itself. Long before modern cities and power grids, humanity faced a simple but relentless enemy: cold. As early humans migrated out of Africa and into colder climates, warmth became as essential as food and water. Archaeological evidence suggests that controlled fire was mastered at least 400,000 years ago, possibly earlier. Fire did more than cook food or scare predators. It created the first heated living spaces. Early shelters were built not only to keep out rain and wind, but to trap warmth. Caves, animal hides, mud brick huts, and stone dwellings were designed around a central fire. Heating was not a convenience. It was the foundation of civilization itself. As societies grew more complex, so did their methods of staying warm. In prehistoric times, the hearth was everything. A simple open fire placed at the center of a cave or hut provided heat, light, and a social focal point, but it came with dangers. Smoke inhalation was constant, soot-covered walls and lungs alike. Yet, the hearth transformed human behavior. Families gathered around it. Stories were told. Knowledge was passed down orally in the glow of firelight. As permanent settlements emerged during the Neolithic Revolution, heating became architectural. In early agricultural villages across the Fertile Crescent, homes were constructed from mud bricks with thick walls that retained heat during cold nights and released it slowly during the day. Open hearths were often placed near walls or in courtyards, balancing warmth with ventilation. In ancient Mesopotamia, heating reflected both environment and social class. Winters could be cold, but fuel was scarce. Wood was limited, so dried animal dung became a primary heating fuel. Clay braziers' portable fire containers were used indoors, allowing heat to be moved from room to room. The wealthy had larger homes with better insulation, while the poor relied on shared heat sources and layered clothing. Ancient Egypt presents a striking contrast. With a generally warm climate, heating was rarely necessary. However, desert nights could be bitterly cold. Egyptians used small charcoal braziers inside homes, especially during winter months. Their architecture emphasized cooling over heating, but even here, warmth was a concern tied to comfort and health. In ancient China, heating technology took a remarkable leap. As early as the Zhou dynasty, people developed the kang, a raised stone or brick platform connected to a flue system. Smoke from a fire would travel beneath the platform, heating the surface above. Families slept, worked, and lived on these warm platforms. This was radiant heating in its earliest form, astonishingly efficient and still used in rural China today. Meanwhile, across the Mediterranean, the Greeks refined domestic heating with enclosed hearths and chimneys. Unlike open fires, chimneys allowed smoke to exit the home more effectively, improving air quality and indoor comfort. Greek homes were often oriented to maximize sunlight during winter, an early example of passive solar design. But it was the Romans who transformed heating into an engineered system. The Roman hypocausts remains one of the most impressive technological achievements of the ancient world. Developed around the 1st century BCE, the hypocaust system elevated floors on small pillars, allowing hot air from a furnace to circulate underneath. Walls were often fitted with hollow tiles that carried heat upward, warming entire rooms evenly. This technology was used extensively in bathhouses, villas, and public buildings. For the Roman elite, warmth was no longer localized. It was ambient, controlled, and luxurious. Bathing complexes became social hubs, heated year-round regardless of season. However, hypocausts were expensive. They required constant fuel and enslaved labor to maintain fires. For ordinary Romans living in insulate-crowded apartment buildings, heating still meant small braziers and smoky rooms. In colder regions like Northern Europe, heating evolved differently. Celtic and Germanic tribes built roundhouses with thick thatched roofs and central fires. The circular design minimized heat loss, while smoke filtered slowly through the thatch, providing insulation and pest control. These homes were dark, smoky, and warm, a trade-off accepted for survival. In Scandinavia, Viking longhouses used massive central hearths running the length of the building. Heat radiated outward, warming people and livestock housed under the same roof. Stone-lined fire pits and roof vents managed smoke. These longhouses were communal, reflecting a culture where survival depended on collective warmth. By the late ancient and early medieval periods, heating technologies reflected inequality. Elites experimented with flues, heated walls, and private bathhouses, while the majority endured cold interiors. Warmth became a marker of power. To control heat was to control comfort, health, and longevity. Ancient heating systems shaped architecture, social structures, and even urban planning. The placement of rooms, thickness of walls, ceiling height, and choice of materials were all dictated by the need to retain warmth. Entire cities were designed with prevailing winds, sunlight, and fuel access in mind. Technologies like the Hypocaust and kang laid the conceptual foundation for modern radiant heating and central heating systems. The idea that heat could be generated in one place and distributed evenly throughout a structure was revolutionary and remains central to how we heat buildings today. Perhaps most importantly, heating influenced daily life. It determined where people gathered, how they slept, and how long they lived. Cold was not just uncomfortable, it was deadly. Ancient solutions to heating were acts of resilience, innovation born from necessity. Today, we adjust thermostats without a second thought. Warmth arrives silently through vents and radiators, invisible and effortless. But beneath that convenience lies a long human struggle against the coal, a struggle written in soot-stained walls, stone floors warmed by fire, and sleepless nights beside dying embers. The ancient world reminds us that comfort is never accidental. It is built, tested, and refined over generations. Every warm room we enjoy today carries the legacy of those who first learned to tame fire, channel heat, and turn survival into shelter. In understanding how ancient people heated their homes, we are not just learning about the past, we are rediscovering the quiet technologies that made civilization possible.